All right, and we are back, ready to start actually generating some code. This thing. All right, so we are in Gemini Advanced 2.5 Pro is what we're using. I did set up a gem for Whispering Veil. We go into edit. I gave it some basic kind of instructions, letting it know you're assisting in developing game systems, gameplay, game mechanics with Unreal Engine 554. For it to provide guidance and generate C++, insights into best practices, help users troubleshoot and understand technical challenges, so on and so forth. General overtone of the game, kind of what we're going to do. And then I've attached this text file for its knowledge, which is Whispering Veil Design Overview .txt file. And so this is just kind of giving a basic overview of some of the structures and whatnot that we've set up, concepts that we're looking at in the game, kind of how the combat system's flowing, general UI layout designs. So a lot of this isn't fully fleshed out. It's kind of parts and pieces. And as we're working on the game with Gemini, we'll be continuing to flesh some more of those kinds of things out. So let's go ahead and start up. Writer. Object and Yep, so this is what we're at. We've just got the basic files, basic game mode, a basic character with a whole lot in there. Nothing related to our grid movement or anything like that. And then once we kind of have that in there, then we'll start getting we'll point Gemini at the dev folder so it can get context of the files, the content, kind of, so it is full context what exactly we've got. So let's go to our Whispering Veil. Let's add a code folder out to our D and direct. Now, at some point, we may need to partition that off a little more, depending how much extraneous things, because there are limits to the number of files be added. But let's start with our first prompt here and see Gemini gives us. Just starting G. Systems, place, items. We want to building a look just where we start now for the game. So project files, suggestions together. I kind of stated in the previous previous video, I've had some experience using Claude for doing some of this. This is the first time I've worked with Gemini. That I've been hearing from some folks that Gemini has improved this kind of, being a code helper and being able to look at projects and generate that content and all that. So I wanted to give it a try, see what kind of things we get back if I think it's a good alternative to Claude, or maybe we end up switching Claude. All right, so look through the provided files. As an experienced game developer with expertise in Unreal Engine 5.4, can offer some guidance on where to stop. Based on project configuration and logs, it appears you've already taken a good first step. Creating the dedicated level, yep, it's also correctly set as the editor startup map. Here's recommended approach. All right, create the game main widget. So the core visual element of your menu will be a user widget in content browser. You can create that directory, create a new user widget blueprint. Menu inside the widget, use the UI, design the layout, add text elements, type buttons, new game, load game, options, quit. Any background imagery or styling according to your design or reviews, color palette. Implement the basic button logic, then the widget's graph. All right, then setting up the dedicated game mode and player controller. So yeah, the menus probably require different game logic and input handling in the main game. So we want to create separate classes for this. So we want to create a new C++ class derived from game mode base. Doesn't try to spawn the default game pawn. You can set default pawn to no or spectator pawn static class. Its primary role in begin play will create your main menu here. The player controller. Set the input mode to UI only and enable the mouse cursor. This prevents game input like system allows UI buttons. Sample snippet. Okay, so it just gave me snippets and instructions. So let's see. You generate full plus files. And classes we will need the go ahead and have it generate the code. That's what we're looking to get out of it. There's our main menu game mode, HC++. And C++. Awesome. Okay, so let's start with getting these in there. So let's jump to writer. Let's go ahead and folder. Let's make organize some stuff here. This is game mode. Game. It's fine. Nope, didn't want to. Okay, so it adds the. So I've created a file in Writer. So we just need main menu game mode. It's me header my implementations. Now I can go be the header in there. C++, pop that. It wants the main menu. Okay, so then we want our player controller. Grab that header. And that implementation. Okay, so we've got a include blueprint user widget.h required f in yep, so we are putting our core minimal base player controller, and then we've got our generated. So we're just got instructor play. So in our begin play, we're setting input only, not locking the mouse to the viewport, no initial widget to focus. Yep, because we'll do that in blueprint. And then set our input and make sure it is visible. Okay, that seems relatively straight. Kind of interesting that Writer sees this as a possibly unused include. It may be because I'm wondering, my guess is that user widget's probably going to be part of core minimal. Actually, let's see. No widget in there. It's just interesting that Writer sees that as eventually unused, but we'll keep an eye on that. And if as Writer continues to index the engine and all the files and whatnot, that may disappear. Or if it hangs out and we can get rid of it. I tend to like to keep my files relatively clean in that aspect. Like, I don't like the warnings or errors up here. Screen check mark. But we'll see. All right, so we've added those files. Let's see, do they even compile? So we build this out. I found when working with AI, it's best to do as little kind of pieces of things as you can. Before, getting too far. And that's one of the things that, I think the issues in Claude that they kind of need to work on is, especially with the latest, what is it, 3.7 Sonnet, I think is most recent version of Claude. And that really has a tendency to want to make lots of different changes. Like there were often times I would give it, like I might be having a compile issue with code that it generated, and I would give it the errors and it would look at the errors and it's like, okay, let me fix this. Oh, and while I'm in here, let me also completely refactor the way that this other thing that didn't have a problem was working. And so I'm interested to see if Gemini is maybe less inclined to do that. But it looks like we've got two errors, both of them in main menu game mode, both on line 29. And yeah, it's the same thing, this get first person player controller. Unable to resolve that. So since we're vibing, let's grab see what it has to say. So in there and see what it has to say. Yeah, so get first player controller is on UWorld, not on gameplay statics. Function to use from gameplay statics is get player controller to find the player index. Okay, so I'm interested to see. There's our correct line. Let's just go ahead. Did line that in there. We move to the if statement. Deal with that later. Let's see if we now we are failed to link page. So now we've got a linker error. We're making it through our compilation, but we're having linker issues. So let's just grab all of that. Back to Gemini and see what it has to say. Now compiling some. So probably a missing file we've got to add somewhere. Oh, and it's down. Let's give it a minute since it looks like it's still running. See if it actually comes back to something. Refresh. Okay, let's try that again. Figure out what it's doing. Yep. Find the actual implementation. The module isn't aware that it needs to link against the engine. User widget. Okay, so yep. So this is our no UNG build. So let's grab it and go to our build and choose this with. All right, don't need a comment. Let's hit it again. Boom. Success. All right, so we've got our game mode. We've got our player controller. So now we can jump over, start implementing and to start in our main menu. So let's back to here, scroll back up. kind of discussion through this. All right, so we need our main menu widget. So a user widget, and yeah, let's go ahead and create a folder. I'll probably end up organizing this. I kind of prefer kind of reversing the order of directories. I'd rather have a main menu directory that contains the files for the main menu than having like levels, UI, whatever, and each of those directories then having main menu directories underneath them. But we'll run with this for now. You know, it's refactor that up later. It starts to get kind of out. So we need our user interface widget blueprint. User widget. This is going to be widget blueprint underscore in today. Okay, and then we're gonna need some other files up in here. So let's go to got those files. And that's going to be our background. I'm going to need so it's going to be and see I've got a font I want. Okay. It's in here. Okay. Although I don't need documents. To user interface. That's what I want. Okay. Yeah, so I don't want that many. So I just want a single font with different types in there. So this is black. It's bold. And this is regular. Okay. So let's rename that font. Okay, and then let's open that. Default is regular. Let's just add a here. It's going to be bold. Do Cinzel bold. This is going to be black. So Okay. Save that. Okay. Perfect. So we can pop up our image. Let's go ahead. Let's make a basic canvas panel. Then in our canvas, the best way to lay this out is I am not the best with Unreal's UI code. Definitely more of a programmer than a visual designer. So a lot of our UIs and stuff are probably going to look pretty basic. Lots of programmer art. That's fine. At this point, really more interested in getting the core mechanics of the game, making sure I've got something that's fun. Polish the look and feel down the road as things start to feel better, and it looks like we're actually having a game. Let's publish. Image is going to take up everything. Full image to be 2. You may have seen that background on my machine. This is an image of the 2, centralized character within the game that will be learning more about on the road. But, you know, it's an image to have in the background. For now, we're going to need a text. Panel again for now. You're going to be centered. Size, you are Spring Vale. Font is going to be our Cinzel default size 72. Okay. But then we're going to center. So if we're, it's going to be 450 0. I'm going to create material. We'll deal with that in a shadow, but let's do an what we want. Shred. me see. A color out on to grab color. So we are 4FL410. Let's just grab. Size. I think that'll. Seven. Five. Okay, that works. And then we want box. That anchored center there. Position X. Let's come 5. Now, start with 4. Just in buttons. Box is going to be big enough. Let's throw bottom for some space. Okay. New game. Let's actually more just to potentially make our life easier. Inside the bird still. On. It's going to press 2. Okay. And we'll have that to be able to, just jump to our editor. Okay. All right. So, I mean, there's lots of styling to do on the styling to do on header text, styling to do on the buttons. But I mean, this essentially, we have a uh, design for a main menu. We can continue to make edits and clean these up. These look better. I think I will change this maybe. Bold. Yeah, the bold is better. All right, let's make sure we're so 55. So if 77 negative isn't done typing. Here we go. Just to have centered. And then we're going to build, I don't know if we'll do it in this video, but here soon we'll build a material that we can then apply to the Whispering Vale header just to give it a little more interesting than the letters, not just make them a solid color. That save that. And we've got basic layout. A UI. Yep, so we added buttons, background imagery, styling that will work when quit game is clicked. And then we've set up our dedicated game mode and player. So in our main menu, settings, and yeah, we'll actually want a blueprint for our game mode. Main new game. That the game mode setup. Save it. Set its main widget class to be the main menu. Okay, and then the other thing we created was the player controller. So let's create a blueprint. New player controller. That open. See if there's any. I don't think there's anything we'll need to set in this. So it's all saved. It's all saved. And then in the world setting for our editor, we can change our override to BRBP main game mode. I think our default pawn is spectator pawn is fine. We shouldn't need that. We can save that. Hey, look at that. Run it. Main menu appears. Isn't that exciting? Buttons don't do anything yet. To be the next thing to implement. Awesome. So I don't remember off the top of my. So let's jump to Gemini to ask it. I want to stop game within a blueprint. equip button. So, menu widget unclicked. Yeah, I do that. Execution pin. Execution of a quit game node. That's what. So quit. So if we jump back to our menu, we can go to our exit button. Let's go ahead and change this name just to make it easier to. I'm not going to remember that button 165 is continued. Okay, so on our exit button, we're doing on clicked. Exit. Exit game. Quit game and with the player controller. Okay, so I got to. 0. Stop. Game. Excellent. All right. File. Save it. Start up our menu. Exit. We stop. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a functional main menu. It's basic, it's simple, but hey, we didn't have to write any C++. Gemini wrote our C++ for us, which was very nice of it. You know, some quick little blueprint setups, a couple of compile and linker issues just to make sure that we've got everything set up correctly, and you know, we're off and running. So next time we're going to be hopping into starting to get that editor working, and then once we have our editor level, we'll handle the click for the editor button on our main menu, and we'll be at a spot where we can jump in and go into the editor and start kind of laying out our levels and such. So stick around. That next video should be coming within the next day or two. So if you're interested in that, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, you know, all the typical YouTube stuff, and we'll continue on our journey of vibe coding a game using Gemini and Unreal Engine 5. Talk to y'all later.